Hey everyone, it's 10 Types, and today I'm going to be talking about Grass type in Genetic Apex and in Pokemon TCG Pocket. I obviously haven't gotten to play it yet, but I've been looking at the cards, and there's some really cool deck ideas and combos, and just really good Pokemon, especially in the Grass type. I'm going to be doing a video breaking down each type, as well as a few other things potentially, but right now I'm starting with Grass. It's the first type going in set number order, and it's a very solid type, honestly. It looks like, I mean, it has a bunch of cards. It has 32 cards here, which is a lot. And by the way, I'm looking at the website PokeBeach as well. But it seems like the grass Pokemon are broken down into a few different, like, I don't know if certainly type's not the right word because grass is a type, but like archetype or something like that. You'll see as I explain it. But we have to start with Venusaur here. And one really interesting thing with Pokemon TCG Pocket, pre-evolutions matter a lot as well. If you have a good final evolution with the terrible previous evolutions, you can get by, but with the lower consistency, like I'm going to be looking at the trainers, the Pokemon search is just Pokeball. So you can draw extra cards with Professor's Research and the other trainers, specifically the other supporters. I mean, the other trainers, there's the fossils and there's supporters. So the other supporters, I believe, just none of them like draw you cards or anything like that. So, they're not going to be getting your other Pokemon out. Certainly not at this point. I imagine in the future we'll see cards like that, but right now there aren't any cards like that, right? So the only way to draw would be like Professor's Research. If you're putting red cards here, which is also why red card in Pokemon TCG Pocket, this version is nerfed, or no, is buffed from regular red card, which is actually a banned card. And it says your opponent shuffles their hand into their deck and draws 4 cards, but because of the smaller deck sizes, obviously, it's kind of like toned down the number of cards as well as the 2 copies per deck as opposed to 4. And also, you don't have very much card draw, so it's actually giving card draw to your opponent. But I mean, I talked about red card before, so there just isn't very much card draw though. But that's why you want to be able to have an okay previous evolution to kind of rely back on. And we'll talk about that with a lot of these Pokemon because there are some really solid ones. There aren't, I don't think any that are super crazy strong though. There are some that are okay certainly, but let's just take a look at Venusaur and Venusaur EX first here. Venusaur here with 160 HP. And by the way, I've talked about all these cards with like a first reaction style video, but this is my more like deeper analysis. And Venusaur and Venusaur EX have 160 and 190 HP respectively. Each have 3 retreat. Venusaur EX does have this first attack for 3 energy that does 60, which is, I mean, it's the same attack literally as the Ivysaur, so it's nothing particularly special, but it's okay. And then we have Giant Bloom on the EX and Mega Drain on the not EX. By the way, if you don't know, EX is give up 2 points. You need 3 to win versus regular Pokemon give up just 1. So we'll talk about that. It matters. It works differently with different Pokemon. We're going to talk about 2 EXs, Venusaur EX and Exeggutor EX. And it's not as big of a deal for Venusaur EX as it is Exeggutor EX as we'll see. But Venusaur with Mega Drain and a Giant Bloom on Venusaur EX, I do feel like they should be the same name. Like Razor Leaf is the same attack and it's the same name on Ivysaur and Venusaur. Giant Bloom and Mega Drain, yes, Mega Drain does do 20 less damage, only 80 as opposed to 100 on Venusaur EX, but that's not like a drastic difference. And I feel like it's kind of weird that they have different attack names when the EX is clearly just a better version. If we take a look at Exeggutor and Exeggutor EX, same idea. It's essentially the same attack, except the EX does more damage, has slightly better stats, but it's a different name, which I find kind of weird. I don't know. Tell me down below if you think that's weird or you like that it's a different name. It's obviously not a big deal, but anyways, also 2 copies per card. I'm pretty sure you can play 2 Venusaur though and 2 Venusaur EX. This increases consistency if they're fulfilling a similar purpose, which of course they are with similar stats, the EX just being a little bit better. And at this time, I don't know if EXs are better than single prizers. I've heard some people say that they are, but I haven't like really heard that much talk about what's good and what's bad. I've heard yeah, I really haven't heard much talk. So, we'll find that out once more people in New Zealand start playing that and like discussing that. But right now, EXs are certainly like solid, but I don't think you like need the X's to win or anything like that. We'll see. We'll see like how, I don't know, like competitive the decks are. I don't know too much about the matchmaking system either, but supposedly it should be matching you with people of similar collection sizes. So if you have some EXs, then, well, based on, there's like 2 matchmaking things. There's wins, and then there's also collection size. So if you have a bunch of EXs, you're gonna be going against people with a bunch of EXs. Probably not in the beta though, because there are less people. I'm not actually sure about that one, but anyways, so Venusaur and Venusaur and the other Venusaur. This is sometimes called baby Venusaur, or baby something, and then big something. Venusaur EX would be big Venusaur, and then baby Venusaur would be the single point Venusaur. So that's a term that's sometimes used. Baby is used more. Big is not used that much. People will often just say EX, but yeah, baby Venusaur here is certainly going to be a card that is solid. I mean, you have good stat. You have high HP. If you look at single prize Pokemon, it's very high. I mean, Exeggutor EX here is a 2 point. I keep saying prize. It's point. Is a 2 point Pokemon here. Same HP as a 1 point Pokemon here. So it is a higher stage, but still. And the healing 30 on top of that is really good. And we need to talk about the main, like the supporter for this type. There was a supporter for some of the types, though not all the types. I don't remember which types don't have supporters. Most of them do. Grass does, which is what we're talking about today with Erica, which is heal 50 from one of your grass Pokemon. That supporter is, I think, it seems really good because we have Potion, which is also an important card and item that says heal 20 from one of your Pokemon. Erica for a grass deck is way better. It is a supporter you can only play one per turn, but I feel like you're definitely playing Erica, two Erica in certainly a Venusaur deck, maybe in other decks as well. But Venusaur, you're healing 30, and then you're also maybe healing 50 sometimes with Erica. And if you're not getting one-shotted, you're in a good position. You are weak to fire. Remember, weakness is plus 20, not times 2. So if you're being hit for weakness, it's not like you just lose the matchup. But isn't great. I mean, it depends. Fire is like, Charizard EX is hitting and knocking you out no matter what. Like, there's just no stopping that. I don't think there are any Pokemon that survive Charizard EX. And then there's the Baby Charizard, which does 150, and then is going to be knocking out the Baby Venusaur here with weakness. So that's like a little annoying. But I mean, it's 4 energy on a stage 2, and so at that point, like, you also have 4 energy on a stage 2, and you're not one-shotting stuff. I don't know. But it's like annoying to be hit for weakness, but it's not that big of a deal, I feel like. And if you're up against a Pokemon like pretty much anything else, like Arcanine EX here, it's going to be hitting 140 instead of just 120, and so that's annoying. But then you can like heal, and I mean you're probably getting two-shotted anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But you can heal 30 and then heal 50, so you can heal 8. Well, you can technically heal 120 with your attack, Erica, and 2 potions. That's possible. Probably not what you're doing, but between the Venusaur and the Venusaur EX, you want to be healing a bunch and healing when it's useful. And this is where we need to talk about the Butterfree as well. I think this card's like super good. Once during a turn, you may heal 20 damage from each of your Pokemon. Presumably, you won't have like a ton of damage Pokemon. Notice the high retreat cost in Venusaur and Venusaur EX. Supposedly, the games are like kind of long, so you might have enough turns to attach and then retreat, but that seems unlikely. Even with the item card X speed reducing your retreat cost, I don't think that's going to be. I mean, that's not that useful. It'll maybe help retreat. It could help retreat at most 2 times throughout the course of the game because also I'm pretty sure you can only retreat once per turn. I don't actually know if that's true. I assume that's true. I haven't heard anyone say it's not true, but yeah, X speed is definitely a card that is solid for getting your Venusaurs out of the active. You do have a 4 attack cost though, so comparing your attack cost to your retreat cost, if you're able to attack, you can also retreat. So assuming, I think there are some attacks that like stop retreating, but assuming that doesn't happen, you can retreat, and you do lose a lot of your energies, but it's not like you can retreat. You still can retreat, and you have enough energy to do so. You're not attaching extra energies to do that. And Venusaur EX is the same thing. So Razor Leaf is nice. I want to talk about, I think it's called, it might be called the energy curve. I think in Magic it's called the mana curve. Pokemon, it's not really that much of a thing, but the idea that like in early turns you attach like 1 energy, so then you have 1 energy in play. How much damage are you doing for that? Then you have 2 energy, then 3 energy, then 4 energy, and so on. It's definitely different. I mean, I don't really play Magic, but you want to be building up, specifically within the evolution line. So the basic is 2 energy, the stage 1 is 3, the stage 2 is 4. That's why Venusaur EX's Razor Leaf like doesn't really matter that much. You'd never choose to use Razor Leaf over Giant Bloom. It is like, I guess, nice to have. It's like a big jump up in HP, but it's still the same attack as the Ivysaur. So how useful is it? It's moderately useful, but I feel like it's not that useful. But Giant Bloom and then Mega Drain are going to be really good attacks paired with the Butterfree. So you can actually heal 140 damage in a turn. That's certainly not a reliable thing, but certainly healing 50 every turn with your attack plus Butterfree is a thing you can do, especially with this really cool Caterpie. So I think Venusaur and Butterfree are going to be the main deck. Like Venusaur Butterfree is going to be the best grass deck from what I've seen. Caterpie, put a random grass Pokemon from your deck into your hand. This is a great starter because it's just gonna, fill up your hand with grass Pokemon. Keep in mind there is the hand limit of 10, so Caterpie is nice, but there's a point at which it's just not doing anything or stopping you from drawing cards, which is a big issue. So just keep that in mind. But you need lots of evolution lines, you need lots of grass Pokemon, and I said there was no Pokemon search, but Caterpie is Pokemon search. This card is really good. There are other good grass Pokemon, but let's say you have full lines of the Venusaur and Venusaur EX plus Butterfree, then that's I think that's 14 cards, which is a lot. 14 cards is going to be, most of your 20 card deck. And then you could put in, you probably aren't going to put in any more Pokemon. Maybe you do. I'm trying to think. Anyone who's played in New Zealand, tell me if you've like how many Pokemon, specifically basic Pokemon, do you think is like good? And are there mulligans? I don't know about mulligans. I want to get my hands in the game soon. I'm excited, but I don't want to wait a whole month. And anyways, so you have the Butterfree plus Venusaur. That is most of your deck. There is another really good Stage 2 grass line, but I don't think you're putting it in. It's just a lot. There is the also, I guess I should talk about Kakuna. Kakuna is like kind of weird. No, not Kakuna, Metapod. Kakuna and Metapod are like the same, but not exactly the same, but they're similar in just design aspects. But Metapod has a 2 retreat cost. Same thing with Kakuna. But the basics and the stage 2s, the evolution lines, both have 1 retreat, which is like weird. I mean, it kind of makes sense, but in terms of gameplay, it's weird. So just keep that in mind. Don't evolve Metapod. Like if you need to retreat and you have Caterpie, just retreat Caterpie and then evolve. Or if you have Metapod in play, evolve then retreat. So you can actually save energies there, but it's not that big of a deal. I feel like Metapod is like kind of a bad attacker though. 30 for 2 colorless. Also, there's the idea of, or we'll talk about tech attackers, which you could put in a grass deck, but and Butterfree is healing any type of Pokemon, so that is an option. Tech attackers are going to be Pokemon that are colorless attackers. That's just really what I'm referring to as tech attackers. There are other definitions, but there's like Psyduck's good, Farfetch'd is good. There might be some other really solid ones as well. I think Psyduck's good. I don't know how good it supporter locks. I don't know how good that is, but it is only 1 colorless energy, which is nice. That's what you're looking for with tech attackers. You could put a few of these in the deck, then you're gonna be filling it up with. I mean, I feel like the deck would just be. Maybe you don't play 2 Venusaur EX and 2 Venusaur, but that seems completely fine as well, just to allow you to actually get your stage 2s, but maybe just like 3 Venusaurs in combination, 2 Bulbasaurs, 2 Ivysaurs, a 2/2/2, a Butterfree line, which is going to be 13 cards. Then you have the 2 Erica, putting up to 15. I'm building the deck here on the spot. Then I do actually think Potion is solid. Maybe 2 Professor's Research, 2 Pokeball, and 1 Potion. That could be okay. Not sure if that is quite like what you're looking for, but that certainly seems solid. I don't know how good these items are, or X Speed either. I feel like X Speed's like okay, but you're kind of okay with just whatever getting smacked around a bunch in the early game, and then you just retreat it and heal it off later, and it like doesn't really matter. So definitely you're looking for a big healing based deck, and that is the arguably main theme of grass. There's another evolution line which I feel like it does work pretty well with the healing, although any of the high HP lines do work as well. We have Vileplume though, which has its attack here, Soothing Scent, 84 grass colorless, and your opponent's active is now asleep, where again, I don't really know how special conditions work or a few of the mechanics work in Pocket, but I believe that it just same as regular play where they flip a coin between turns and they might not be able to attack or retreat next turn. That's really brutal for them, just like slowing them down a lot. They can evolve out of it. It does depend on the scenario, but it is not great to have happen to you if to get put to sleep, so you can buy extra turns for Butterfree to keep healing you. But keep in mind Vileplume's HP is like it's not bad certainly, but it's not Venusaur, but you could have solid synergy here with Butterfree, but I'd say Venusaur is better. And then the Oddish and Gloom are also like okay. They kind of are solid attackers. If you look at something like Butterfree, I guess Butterfree Metapod, I know Caterpie Butterfree Metapod, the attack cost just goes up, so that's like fine. But these aren't very good attackers. I mean, Butterfree's attack is just not very good, right? But It's not unusable, but it's not that good. But then we have the well, let's just talk about Lilligant now. I feel like Lilligant is definitely a very solid Pokemon. I don't know exactly how good it is. For 2 grass, you do 50, take an energy from your grass energy from your energy zone and attach it to one of your bench grass Pokemon. Petalil is also kind of interesting. It does 10 and does heal 10. So in the early game, you can do some like kind of tanky stuff with like Erica and Petalil. But it's not that useful, but it's kind of funny. But Lilligant here is really good if you can get multiple attacks out of it, and then you're like doing solid damage. 50 for 2 is not that bad. It's I think it's okay. Don't exactly know. Certainly, if you're playing a deck of multiple types, don't play Lilligant. Honestly, I feel like most of these grass Pokemon don't work very well for that, outside of maybe Whimsicott. But I don't know if Whimsicott's that good either. But Lilligant here is definitely a Pokemon that is good to play. You could put this in your Venusaur deck. It might be worth playing. I don't know how easy it is to get in the active. Well, Bulbasaur and like Caterpie, if those are what you're playing, it do just have a 2 cost of 1, so it's not that bad. But it's gonna take some turns to set up again, so it might be getting knocked out really quickly after you send it into the active, and now you're setting up something else. But if this doesn't get off 2 attacks, it's not really worth doing. But if it gets off 2, I think it is a solid Pokemon. Then there is the really powerful stage 2 line, in my opinion, or stage 2 Pokemon in Victreebel with its ability Fragrance Trap. If this Pokemon is in the active spot, once during your turn, you may switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon to the active spot. This seems like super. Is it broken? I don't know if it's broken, but it seems very good. And then it only has retreat of 2. I actually thought it was 3, but it's retreat of 2. That's really good with X speed. So then you could play 2. I think they stack. Do they stack? I actually have no idea if these stack or not. But you could play X speed, you could retreat. Even if you just play 1, retreat cost of 1 is certainly fine. Attach retreat. And Victreebel is just going to be going in, and you could actually just attack for 2 and knock out like a. The terms of gusting as well, switching when opponent's bench to the active. You could gust stuff like a Bellsprout or a Venonat or an Oddish or like a Weedle or whatever. It gusts most basic Pokemon or it gusts any basic Pokemon and will one-shot most of them. So this allows you to get knockouts there. Additionally, if your opponent has a Pokemon, I know Snorlax has really high retreat. Maybe they're just, I don't exactly know what they could be doing, but maybe they just have a Snorlax and it doesn't have any energy on it. You could gust that up and then trap it, and then again do that combo where you're like healing a bunch with the Butterfree because you bought yourself a bunch of turns. So now it's healing a bunch of damage. You could do that. I don't really know if that's worthwhile, but it is an interesting combo. I feel like Butterfree is it's certainly my favorite grass Pokemon in terms of its design. I feel like, I mean, if you know me, I like control and I like stall, and it's a stall card. Venusaur, but grass is definitely the stall type. There are other stall cards. There's Vaporeon, which at the initial reveal of the Pocket cards, I think that was one of the original ones revealed, and I was like, Vaporeon seems like a really good stall Pokemon. And Butterfree is a really good stall Pokemon as well, but stall only really works in this format if you're not getting one-shotted. So if you're up against a deck that is one-shotting you, you will just kind of lose. But there aren't that many Pokemon dealing one-shots. There's Charizard EX and um that might be it. Charizard EX is doing one shots, but it is 4 energy on a stage 2 and is discarding 2 of them, so it's a big cost. I mean, I'm talking about Venusaur EX, it's 4 energy on a stage 2. I feel like the single prize or the single point Venusaur, the baby Venusaur, is a little better. Not sure on that one, but it seems better, which is kind of weird. I feel like a lot of the baby Pokemon are better than the EX counterparts, which is kind of weird. I feel like Pokemon would want to make the EX Pokemon really good, so people would buy them, but it is still in beta. They might do that, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Then I guess I should talk about the Beedrill line as the next one, just the next one in set order. It has 3 Pokemon. Obviously, it's a stage 2 line, and the Weedle does 20 for 1 grass. The Kakuna does 30 for 1 grass, which has retreated 2, and the Beedrill does 70 for 1 grass. This is weird. I've been wanting to, or considering making a video on this for a while, not about Pocket, but about Pokemon in general, where there's like 2 timers essentially that determine like how long it takes to get a Pokemon to play. There is evolution and there's energy. So it takes in Pocket it takes 2 turns to get a stage 2 into play. Um, well, 2 turns after you play the basics, so 3 turns to get the stage 2 into play, and then for this attack it would take 1 turn for you to get the energy up in play. So at that point you can just like you're still having to wait 3 turns. The value of cheap attacks is generally that it takes less turns to power up. Now, the energy thing, like if you need 5 energy on your board, it takes 5 turns, assuming you're not like doing some form of energy acceleration to attach extra energies. But evolutions, you could like do that at the same turn. So you could get 4 stage 2s into play on turn 3, but you can't do that. You can't get 4 energy in play on turn 3 normally. So, Beedrill here is a Pokemon that could be okay if you're just relying on lots of cheap attackers and like medium cost attackers, and that's like kind of the game plan here. But as just like a powerful Pokemon in its own right, it's not like it's really fast in the early game because you can't get into play in the early game. Well, specifically by turn, like before turn 3, you can't get into play, and getting into play turn 3 is solid, but I don't know if you really have draw power to do that. You could like Caterpie, use Find a Friend a few times, then retreat into Beedrill. Maybe that is a good play, but seems a little bit sketchy. But that is like kind of a cool idea. I think Caterpie is really good. Caterpie might be the best grass Pokemon. This is why I like the evolution line. Like, there's a good basic and a good stage two. The stage one's like kind of weird, but yeah, Caterpie is definitely a very solid basic here for setting up just lots of different things. And there are a bunch of Pokemon evolution lines in this type, the grass type, that have just one attack cost. The Venomoth here is pretty solid, 34 on grass and poison. Poison, they take essentially a damage tick every single turn between each turn, both yours and your opponent. So if you hit them with this, they don't retreat, and you hit them back-to-back turns. That's 30, that's 60 with the 2 attacks, plus 3 poison, so that would be 90 off 2 turns with just 1 energy. That's really solid. Is it like super good? It's okay, certainly. And you could also poison them with Venomoth, retreat into Beedrill. Now they are taking the poison ticks as well as taking damage from, like, more damage from Beedrill than they would be taking from Venomoth. So, Venomoth, again, assuming that the special conditions work the same way in Pocket as they do in regular gameplay. So Venomoth is solid for this like 1 energy attack style deck, and like just theme and grass. And then the third and not necessarily final, but final for like this evolution, this type of card. I think it's the final card, or cards of this type. You have the Execute, which isn't very good, but also it's 50 HP, which is like kind of high. Like regular Pokemon TCG, 50 HP is decently high for Execute. I feel like normally it's coming in at 30, but I mean, there's just a really good expanded Execute, which has 30 HP. But Exeggutor has 130 HP, and Exeggutor EX has 160. They do both have 3 retreat, which is really high. Same issue as with the something. Maybe not. Maybe there aren't other Pokemon that I've talked about with the high retreat, low attack. But if you do have 1 energy onto attack, you cannot retreat. You could attach energy, play X speed, and then just retreat. That is an option. But is it going to be doing what you want? I'm not actually sure. Because it's like you're attaching your energy, you're playing an item. You could play, as I said, I think 2 items, but that's awkward. You probably won't be able to do that. But Exeggutor and Exeggutor EX, they do 30 base plus 30 for heads, or 40 base plus 40 for heads on just 1 coin flip. So this is like okay, but not that good. Averaging, what is it, 45 or 60 damage. That's not like insane. It's solid, certainly. I mean, it's like about the same as Venomoth. Yeah, it has higher HP. These are pretty similar to Venomoth and Beedrill. As you know, I'm not a big fan of coin flips, but if you like coin flips, you might want to play this card. I also assume coin flips are fair in Pocket. I cannot confirm. I mean, I obviously haven't played it. I haven't heard like anyone say that coin flips aren't fair though. Tell me down below if you've played Pocket, and if coin flips are fair or not fair. But Exeggutor, EX, and Exeggutor seem okay, but nothing super special. They are very tanky, so you could again pair them with the Butterfree, and that's probably how you do it. Specifically the EX with 160 HP, which is solid, but again, like same as the Venusaur, the single point Venusaur, but Exeggutor plus Erica, or Exeggutor EX and Exeggutor plus Erica plus the Butterfree with again the Caterpie seems solid. I think the Venusaur has higher upside. I mean, it is much more energies, but it is a slow deck, so you should be able to get those energies into play. And then you have the higher damage output, like consistently higher damage output, and you have a healing and more HP. Again, you are slower, but I feel like you could do the Caterpies in the early game, and then you could be in a very good position there. And then there are a few other Pokemon. There's this Tangela, which is like really boring. It's not like the worst basic, but also it doesn't evolve or do anything special. Scyther is again another 1 energy attacker, 30 for 1. There's a bunch of Pokemon like this, but nothing super crazy. Pinsir does 50 for double coin flip, 50 for each heads, and so that's like average 50 for 2, which is okay, but it's not consistent. If you get double heads, it is very strong though, so that could be a card you want to play, like to just gamble and do massive damage early. Then there is going to be Cottonee and Whimsicott. These are 2 colorless attackers, which is really nice. You could put this into any deck, and the Whimsicott's what you're looking at here. The Cottonee is a Pokemon that does 10 damage, which means that weakness is actually 3 times, which is like kind of funny, which is, I don't know. It's really good with this side deck, I feel like, because they're slowing the game down, so essentially you're like getting really good value out of weakness if you're hitting weakness, but just hitting 10 for 1 colorless is not very good. It's really bad, even if you are hitting weakness, which I feel like it doesn't hit that many Pokemon for weakness, grass type in general, but it is okay. Then the Whimsicott here is going to be doing 40 for 1 and has 80 HP. These stats aren't particularly good. They're not completely terrible either. The HP is like low, I'm pretty sure, but the attack damage is like okay. It's only 1 colorless, but if you are doing like a tech attacker or a toolbox deck, attack would be like a Pokemon you're putting in to hit weakness or do something particularly special, but probably to hit weakness. And then a toolbox deck is essentially just a bunch of tech attackers with maybe some minor focus on something. Whimsicott, you could put like a small line of this in. If you're playing Whimsicott, you're probably not playing the Caterpie, so you're not like searching out Whimsicott, but still. And then you have the Go-Go line, which is not great. I mean, Skidoo's like colorless. It does 40 for 1, but then it's also on a coin flip, which like seems kind of bad. As I said, I don't like coin flips. Then you have Go-Go, which is 120 HP, 70 for 3. Very generic, probably the most generic grass Pokemon in my opinion. Like I feel like Beedrill, despite having very generic stats, it doesn't like do anything special with its text. Oh, there's also Parasect. Oh, Parasect is apparently better than Go-Go. Just directly, I did not realize that. Paras is not necessarily better than the Skidoo, but the Parasect is. Wait, no, is it better? Oh no, it's grass colorless, but it's probably better. Does 80 and has 120 HP. Wait. Yeah. So same HP, just more damage. It's okay, very generic yet again. I mean, I literally forgot about it, but the coolest cards and the best ones, in my opinion, are the Venusaur deck with Butterfree, or it could be some other Pokemon paired with Butterfree. Unsurprisingly, the EXs are solid, but it's not just because the EXs, like, they're EXs, that's not why they're good. Having the higher HP is nice for a type that's focused on tanky Pokemon, but it's not like that's making or breaking them either. But anyways, tell me what you think of the card design in Pocket. I definitely feel like the cards are solid as well. I heard a lot of people before the set was coming out and like the game was released to some people, and before like we had seen actual people playing the game, a lot of people thought that the card design was really boring, but I feel like the card design is solid now that we've seen all the cards from the set. Oh, also, wait, there's different Pokemon looking at Snorlax. That's fun. Anyways, so I definitely think that the card design's solid. Even the basic stat Pokemon like Whimsicott and Beedrill, they have interesting elements to them. Venusaur and the Venusaur EX have really solid stuff going on and cool stuff. Butterfree, it's not like they're absolutely insane like in standard Pokemon. They have like every Pokemon has interesting elements to them, but I feel like these cards are cool as well. Maybe once we get playing them, it'll be like it will be boring. I don't know, but they seem cool. So I hope you enjoy the video. Consider liking, subscribing, hitting the bell, all that good stuff. And as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.